Kamba kwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotara straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news kamba kwe don't come usasarire kamba kwe anukaya mari
Right. 12 September 2022, and today I'm going to be quickly going through a very, very interesting and unbelievable story, and I'm going to be digging deep into the facts, and I'm going to give my opinions, and as usual, I'm going to put a few theories here and there regarding the latest developments. And specifically, I want to look at Zimbabwe billionaire Strive Masiyiwa and his entry into Zimbabwean politics, or I would like to say his sudden and unexpected entry into Zimbabwean politics. From this point onwards, Masiyiwa cannot stay away from Zimbabwe politics. He has thrown himself deep into the politics of Zimbabwe, especially succession politics. And here I'm talking about the petition that was written and as reported by Newshawks. So if you go to newshawks.com, you will see a story there that there has been a petition that was signed by 122 prominent Zimbabweans regarding the continuous and unjustified arrest, detention, and incarceration and denial of bail of Job Scala. So, you know, Job Scala is a very, very vocal character. So suddenly, Strive Masiyiwa's name has popped up in this petition. This petition is hard-hitting, and it is directed at President Mnangagwa. And this is uncharacteristic because normally Masiyiwa, when he sees something happening in Zimbabwe, he ignores it. So he will never speak about it. He will never comment about it as long as it's political. And if he was passing in the street and some people were being beaten up, he would probably just pass by and leave it. But this time, Masiyiwa has put his name on this hard-hitting petition. This petition, the language used here is very, very strong. And it is clear that this is something that will obviously affect his business, and it will also affect him personally. And now let's dig into the facts. Let's dig into the interesting facts. What is happening here? And I want to connect a number of things here. First, I want to link this to succession politics, which is what I've been saying in the past, that there's a third force in Zimbabwe, a third force which is a military, political, and business structure, which is fed up with the current politics in Zimbabwe, and which does not believe that the elections in 2023 will bring change. I've said this a number of times. The question was, who is in the political, military, and business structure of the third force in Zimbabwe? And it's clear. It's clear who is in this third force. There is a third force in Zimbabwe, and clearly Masiyiwa, if he is one of the signatories of this petition, he has named himself as one of the people in the third force. They're fed up with the politics of Zimbabwe, and particularly, they do not believe that in 2023, there will be change that comes from an election. And you will see that going forward, as we go into 2023, you're going to see more and more stuff. And I pointed out specifically the events surrounding Susan Mutami that was orchestrated internally within ZANU-PF, that was done by people within ZANU-PF. That was not normal, that was not ordinary. You could see that there was a hand, a third hand in there trying to make a smear campaign. And it was one of the beginnings. Then if you take the key institutions of the state, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, institutions that are supposed to be working to improve the situation in the country. Basically, they are folding their hands. You could believe that there is almost an attempt to see how bad things can get without, if they're not fixed. So we're talking here about a third force that exists in the country, a political, a military, and business structure, whose sole intention is to change the politics of the country. And this petition, to me, it's almost unbelievable. I cannot believe that Masiwa's name, or he has put his name on this petition, the way it is written, the way it is presented, and to whom it is directed. Because let me give you a hint. Let's say Masiwa wanted to speak to President Mnangagwa. It would take him less than 10 minutes to go on the phone, ask someone in President Mnangagwa's office, and phone him. That is almost the effect. If Masiwa wanted to speak to anyone in Zimbabwe, he would easily do it. It won't be even a problem at all. So if he was to put his name on a petition, it means either the channel of communication is closed, the guys in President Mnangagwa's office don't want him to talk to him, or he does not want, deliberately, he does not want to talk to him. He wants to make a public statement. So that is the only reason why Masiwa would put his name on a petition, because if he wants to phone anyone, he would do it easy and simple. It's not difficult to speak to any one of the guys in ZANU-PF. Even a simple person like Gambakwe, if he wants to speak to President Mnangagwa, probably it will take me a week or two, but I would be able to do it. But this petition, it is almost like a public statement. And not only from the people in the petition, but there are people within the system who feel that they need to show who is behind the arrest of Scala. They want to disassociate themselves from the arrest of Scala, and they want it to be known that they're not involved in this arrest, they're not involved in this detention, they're not involved in anything to do with human rights abuses. So you're going to see people slowly disassociating themselves with what is happening around Job Scala, around the Nyatsime guys who are arrested, and also around many other issues. Then I want to obviously look at, remember I talked about the third force, succession politics, and the political, military, and business structure that does not want the current existing politics. You can link this to the reason why the CCC does not have structures. So I want you to understand why the CCC does not have structures. The CCC does not have structures because it is a transitional mechanism. The CCC is not a political party. It's a transitional mechanism, a loosely set up organization, which is a part of the third force. So the CCC, the only reason why the CCC exists is to create a transitional mechanism during which various different people or stakeholders in the country will come together and take over. So that's why you see Chamisa is not going to appoint a vice president. He's not going to do all that. And anyway, Chamisa is very close to Masiwa. If Chamisa wanted to talk to Masiwa now, it would take him less than 10 minutes. So I said, President Mnangagwa, if Masiwa wanted to phone President Mnangagwa, it would take him an hour. If Chamisa wanted to phone Masiwa, it would take him 5 minutes or 10 minutes. These two, very, very close. And why do I say so? And I want to obviously set a stage here. A few years ago, myself and Mutuma Mawere and Rutendo Benson were sued by Strive. So after we were sued by Strive, I was obviously reluctant to go through with the case. So I made all efforts to make sure that we don't go through this case. And eventually, I got to a point where we had I can say, a settlement agreement. And what this settlement agreement entailed was obviously that would stop publishing anything about Strive Masiyiwa, would have a non-disclosure agreement, and so forth. And on their part, Masiyiwa's lawyers had then said they're going to pay our legal fees. So that was, my legal fees were about $15,000. And the Americans, obviously, through legal defense, they paid $5,000 of my legal fees. And Masiyiwa's lawyers were then supposed to pay $10,000. So strangely enough, the guy who was between my lawyer and their lawyers was one of Chamisa's classmates, a very close confidant of Chamisa's. And well, I want to continue this story because eventually I will link it to the point that I want to make. So we went here to Rosebank, to the lawyers of Masiyiwa, spent days there drafting the settlement agreement and so forth. And eventually that settlement agreement was ready. And then we signed. So they sent it to us and we signed. We sent it to the Americans and said, okay, this case is gone. So they paid my lawyers. And now Masiyiwa was now, his lawyers were now supposed to pay our lawyers. You will not believe what happened. Masiyiwa's guys took the settlement agreement and then they ran away. They disappeared. From that day, we've never seen them. We've never seen the signed. I cannot believe this. I cannot even believe that I'm telling this story because I actually had said I was going to leave this whole story. But the point I'm trying to make here is, one, Chamisa is very, very close to Masiyiwa. There is a link between the two. There is a link between the office of Masiyiwa and the office of the CCC and the office of the opposition in general. But obviously, Masiyiwa will never do anything where he is part of a group. He is only someone who can do something when he's a leader of that group. So if you see a petition with 108 people and Masiyiwa's name is actually there and actually signed it, he's not number 3 or number 4. Ibu Mandaza did not do the thing. He is the one who probably said, let's do this petition. Guys, I'll be in front with this thing. And also, Masiyiwa will not like take an agreement and sign it with you and then honor it. He is going to take that agreement that you do with him. So basically what Chamisa is going to find out later on is that he's going to be double-crossed very, very badly. And eventually he might end up being at the back. So I'm warning him, maybe he doesn't know this, but he's going to be very, very badly double-crossed in the future. And if you look at the situation in Zambia, I told you about the Zambia playbook. The Zambia playbook is very, very simple, very, very effective. And it is going to work. So you have heard people saying the Zambia playbook does not work. It does work. What is the Zambia playbook? The Zambia playbook is to make you look so bad as the current president that by the time the election comes, you barely get 30% of the votes. This is what I'm saying. You get like Lungu, by the time he came out, Lungu looked so bad. He was a violent dictator who did nothing for the country. This is what it looked like. But it's not true. Lungu did so much for Zambia. He built that country up. He did a lot. There were mistakes made here and there. But the Zambia playbook is going to play out in Zimbabwe. You're going to see a charismatic opposition leader that is able to take over in the country and who is going to satisfy the requirements of the third force. So why is the third force very, very important? The third force is important because when you see them coming out, it means that they believe that the current president is trapped, he's weak, and is ready to be pushed out. That is what they believe. And specifically, if they believe that they have done enough groundwork to push out the current president, to make him so unpopular that he cannot do anything, that is why you see the third force showing its head. And specifically, remember what I said, that is why the CCC does not have structures. It's not a political party. There is no one in the CCC who can run a government. If you remove Chamisa, Biti, Mahere, Scala, Wende, you're done. There's no CCC. So the CCC is a transitional mechanism. It is a representation of a future structure that is to be negotiated, that is to be set up. It's not the real thing. It's a foundation, or what you can call a steering committee of the thing to come. So I think I've covered what is happening. I've covered the role of Masiwa. And when I talk about the Zambia playbook, Masiwa is not going to be Chamisa's vice president. It's not possible. So if he signed this petition, and it's him who is in that petition, and he has not denied it to the news walks, then if he signed that petition, he's going to be number one. Masiwa is not going to be number two to anybody. And he's not going to take any agreement that he makes with anybody and honor it. He's going to tear up that paper. And when he tears up that paper, he's going to come out on top. He's got the financial and necessary muscle to outmaneuver Chamisa, to outmaneuver anybody in Zimbabwe, including to outmaneuver the government, because 3/4 of the Zimbabwean financial system is run by his company. He's resigned, he's retired from the board. But 3/4 of all money in circulation in Zimbabwe, or more, passes through Masiwa's company. In fact, the Zimbabwe government does not know how much money they've got. The servers of Econet are the ones that know how much money is in the Zimbabwe. Because if I want, I go there and I change the number from 1 billion to 2 billion. There's no way you're going to know this. It's like he runs the economy. 98% of Zimbabweans are on Econet, on the actual wireless network, and also on EcoCash, and also on EcoSure. So basically, you've got a guy who's running the whole network in the country, and that same guy is signing a petition. That's not real. There's no way a guy like that can sign a petition, because he's got access to call you on your phone anytime. In fact, let me tell you something. I was, during that time when they were suing me, I drove from my work. I was working those days. When I got to my gate, I found that the guys from Masiwa's legal team were at my house. I'm not telling you this, like literally at my house. My house is not published in public. It's somewhere, well, my other house. So they went there, and I had to call and say, leave that place. There is a tenant there. Do not go to my house. So I'm telling you something that is not affecting. He's got access to anybody, and he can see anyone at any time. And he does not do things for no reason. But all this that I've said, I want to put a disclaimer now. All this that I've said, it depends on whether he is the one who signed this petition or not. If he did not sign that petition, then someone is going to drag him, or is trying to drag him into something. But in short, there's a third force in Zimbabwe. The third force feels that the current president is trapped, is weak, is ready to be pushed out, and they've done enough groundwork. And they're a political, military, and business structure that has been set up to totally transform the current politics of Zimbabwe, which many people feel is totally useless, totally taking us nowhere. And the CCC of Nelson Chamisa, not a political party, but a part or an extension of the third force. That is it that I wanted to say here today. A long story from a short story. Now let's look at other things that I might have forgotten here. Can Masiwa make a good president of Zimbabwe? I think that's a good question. I would say Zimbabweans. Let's talk about Zimbabweans before we talk of Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans would be elated and they'll be delighted to have Masiwa as the president. So who would want to have Masiwa as the president? Massive number of people, governments, local, regional, international. They would want to have Masiwa as the president. It's a Zambia playbook altogether. If you see what has happened in Zambia, it's unbelievable. That country is totally transformed in less than a year. It's been totally transformed. So if this was to repeat, we are going to have a total duplication of what is happening in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, which gives us our popular politician Chamisa, How do we deal with him? That has to be sorted out. That has to be dealt with. And obviously, the third force, the military component of the third force, has got the muscle. What do they intend to do with the muscle? What can they do? When can they do it? And what is next? That question is very, very important. And don't forget the Susan Mutami case. That was not normal. That was not natural. That was orchestrated from within. The people who orchestrated that are within the structures. Who else is within the structures? And what else do they want to do? So those are the questions that we obviously want to ask and whose answers we will not get. But anyway, as time goes on, we'll definitely get an answer. And remember what I always tell you. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's something called the clapback. What is going to be the clapback next? What is next? Can the current president push back? Can he clap back on the third force? And is it possible for the second term not to happen? Because remember this, what I said here is, guys are impatient. They don't want to wait another 5 years. They don't think they can wait 5 years. The third force is all about changing things before the 2023 election. That is the purpose of the third force, to change everything now. Is it possible? Because you can see what has happened right now. I was talking about this last week, that communication has been removed from ZANU-PF. You see that the president's office has taken over everything. Check out all the communication that's coming out. The Ministry of Information is much more active now in communication. The ZANU-PF guys, it's almost as if they're standing back. They're disassociating themselves. There's obviously been some changes inside ZANU-PF that we don't know why it happened. But something has happened there. The guys who are on social media, they've been thrown off. If you look at Passion Jawa, he's gone. If you look at Angel, he's gone. If you look at all the guys that were initially in the strategy of appealing to the youths, they're gone. All you have now is faceless people who are churning out information. So I want you to realize that there has been a major change, there's a major shift, which means obviously they recognize that there's a third force, and that third force is in operation. I'm going to obviously go into other stories. You remember the stories that we raised, the stories of the guns. I think we saw another story in the Newshawks this week. I want us to analyze that later on if I get some time to do it. But there is a lot more happening, and do not expect 2023 to be the same. Do not expect 2023 to be the same as 2018. It's going to be very, very different. And obviously, one thing that I want to mention is that whereas Masiwa has good money, when I look at him, he's a billionaire, but he does not act like a billionaire. That is very strange, because I was always wondering, like, what exactly has Masiwa ever done in Zimbabwe with money? Like, literally think about it. He's got the foundation. The wife works at the foundation. But what else? Like, he has not built big buildings. He has not done anything extravagant. In fact, he stayed away. But he is very, very aware of everything that is happening in the country. In fact, I was laughing with one of the lawyers, and he was saying, Gambako, you know, when you guys wrote that story about Masiwa would not sleep. He would be pacing in the kitchen and calling the lawyers at night and say, Manyora somebody you saw Gambako and so forth. You know, like, so unbelievable. That is what the lawyers were telling me, that this guy, he's so in touch with everything that is happening. You'll be surprised he's watching now. So this is the kind of thing that he does. And I don't know who else does that except Kasukuwere. Kasukuwere is the kind of guy that I've told you before, that you would think that he's over there, but he's here. He's standing right next to you, and you'll be thinking the next time you look and you see him. And Grace, those kind of people, they're everywhere. Now let's look at the comments and let's wrap this up. And remember, disclaimer, this is all if Masiwa does not come out and say, I did not sign that petition. If he says I signed that petition, I didn't sign that petition, I cancel everything. But if he doesn't come out to say, I was in that petition, everything that I say here, you'll see it. Let's now quickly look at CF. The denial of bail for Jobs Gala is clearly political. Of course, who can be that dumb not to know that it's political? Everything is political. The searching of Trump's house is political. The arrest, the Palapala case is political. The death of 4 people, four senior politicians this week in KZN is political. Everything is political. Let's look at someone else. I want to laugh. What are you talking about? So that is Admire Mzemet. What are you talking about? CCC or Masiwa? There's no difference. You see, in future, as I said to you, CCC is not a political party. It's a structure of an extension of the third force. It's a transitional mechanism. The guys in MDC, they always wanted the transitional mechanism. The CCC is the attempt to create a transitional mechanism or a national transitional authority. That's what they're doing here. They're doing that so that anyone else in future can come and become part of it. And then you say they're citizens for 5 years and there's no government. Remember what I said about third force. Third force means President Mnangagwa steps down, everyone else comes together, forms some transitional thing, and then after 5 years they have a government. That is what is happening. That is why you see Chamisa doing what he's doing. He's not appointing. So strategically, he's very smart. That setup that he's got there. And I've said it in the past. The lack of a structure is a structure. I've said this in the past. Go back into my old videos. Imelda Masiwa is a Zimbabwean, is allowed to be a politician. I agree with you. He can be a politician. Anyone can be a politician. But politics is dirty. Remember that. So if you're a clean guy, well, Masiwa is not like a clean guy, but if you're a clean guy, don't go there. Especially if you're trying to deal with some very smart and very, very experienced strategists. Because the people that you are dealing with, they are not the normal people. They are very, very strong strategists. Right. On Passion Java and Hubert Angel that are gone, that I'm with you, true. They are gone. They can take pictures with the president, but it's nothing to take them nowhere. Like they can be a big part of the election because it's no longer about the election now. It's a fight. Now there is a war. So if you've got a war, you take away the games, you bring out the big guns. That is what's happening now. So this is exactly what the third force is about. And it's going to play out in public as we go towards the elections. So guys, I want to wrap this up. And Masiwa, I still want my money for my legal fees. Because what happened, is, you guys may not know this. When I was very, very sick, that is, I was in hospital and they were just about to disconnect my oxygen because I didn't pay my private hospital bills. I used the last breath that I had to call my lawyer. And they had to drag me to the reception. And I said, advocate, and that a problem. I'm in hospital now. Please call Masiwa's guy and tell them that, please, can they give us that money that they were supposed to pay us? And then he called, and the guys called back and said, how much does he want? I was only asking for the agreement. I did not ask for more, but they called him and said, how much does he want? When he told them, they then went away for good and they never came back. This is the kind of guys that you're dealing with. They don't, anything they write on a paper, it means nothing to them. And when you see, if it is real, if you see Strive angry or unhappy, something has happened behind the scenes with the ZANU-PF, with the president. Something has happened. He does not just come out for no reason. So I really want to see what will be the response to this news hawk story. I want to see him saying, Gambakwe, you are lying, news hawks, you are lying, there's no such thing, and I did not write that thing that you said I wrote. So if you go to newshawks.com, it says Sikala denied bail, outraged citizens petition Mnangagwa. Go and read that story, you'll see the details there. And you also see the hard-hitting petition. This petition is not a petition, it's a slap, like a back slap on the president. Because why would you write a petition to the president? Does he arrest people? People are arrested by courts and police and so forth. So the fact that you are writing him, it means you're saying you are the one who arrested this guy. You are the one who's throwing this guy in jail and all the other things that are here. Right, I think I've done enough here. I've done what needs to be done for today. I got a message from a guy from America. It says, Gambakwe, you're now well. You're now well. I can see you're no longer sick. You now have energy. And I really thank God that I'm here today. It's been a year and a few months since I almost left this earth. And I'm happy that I'm here and I'm able to talk. I'm able to enjoy my birthday in 2 days' time. I'll be turning 46 years old. It's amazing. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And I hope that our country does well. I hope that the change that is coming becomes a change that takes us away from where we are to a better Zimbabwe. Thank you very much and good night.
Kuno aho bano mama wanna get it nice. I know Buddha meso, I know Buddha tebe, I know kaya marigi. Kama kweto tikom, kweto tikom usasai.
Gambakwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com. Gambakwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanoziya mari. Gambakwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei. Vanhu terere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei. Mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere. Gambakwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence.
Entertainment, current affairs and news. Gambakwe.com. Usasarire Gambakwe.